Historically, we've witnessed cycles in the financial system that are easy to plot and track through technical analysis. Certain cycles are short, others long. Ultimately, we'll look at stock charts, commodities, futures, bond markets, financial media, and everything in between, all to find none of that makes sense any longer. A distortion is underway at this very moment, eviscerating all historical basis, all common sense and reason, and any semblance of reality. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today we're going to talk about the slow death of the global economy. Let's begin with this. I just did a video mentioning the 500 euro note. They're trying to get rid of it, or at least it's a rumor. And here is an article. Lawrence Summers, the former Treasury Secretary, it's time to kill the $100 bill. It's time to go after big money, suggesting that the big bills are for the rich people. And by eliminating big bills, you can sort of hit the rich people where it hurts. This is not what this is about. Getting rid of higher denominations really is not what it's about at all. But the reason I bring this up is, it is interesting that I just did the video yesterday, but also the fact just to once again reminding everybody about capital controls. This may be one very, very small part of that, but remember that capital controls are taking place today in various forms in different parts of the world, and they're coming for you, I assure you. This right here is an excellent article out of the AP, talks about different things about China, talks about global growth, talks about the banking system, and all of the issues that we are encountering now. Of course, they suggest that growth is doing not as well now, but claims that in 2007 growth was above 5%. Other things, you have to take mainstream media with a grain of salt. Let's talk briefly about this. The other pillar of the global economy besides China, the US, is now showing signs of weakness. Maybe not a recession yet, but growth was a weak 0.7 annually during the fourth quarter. Factory output has declined. Unemployment has dropped. Wages have not recovered quickly. Companies appear to be unsettled. The rising dollar, they're saying, could hurt exports. And they get off into talking about rising interest rates. At the bottom here, we have this issue with the banking system. One is that in Europe, bank shares have been shaken by the bailout of four Italian lenders and fears about $1.35 trillion in bad loans across the 19-country currency union. How are they ever going to bail out all of these bad loans? Remember that, as I talked about in the previous video, how we have the private sector pushing their bad debt to the public sector. That's your and I having to deal with that in the future. Taxpayers, however they want to do this, probably just steal it from us directly. But how can they ever bail it out? Well, unfortunately, it's going to be you and I that does so, either directly or indirectly. This right here is something I've shown countless times before. I'll spare you and just say that it explains itself. The $100 bill, which is obviously something that we just spoke about a moment ago, losing its value over time. In any way, shape, or form, you look at the value of money and it has declined. There's no denying that. Oil is a very important commodity. No one will deny this as well. Top oil exporters, Russia and Saudi Arabia, agreed on Tuesday to freeze output levels, but said that the deal was contingent on other producers joining in. A major sticking point with Iran absent from the talks and determined to raise production. So there's some interesting info right in here in the second paragraph. I just wanted to mention the fact that the Saudi oil minister said freezing production at January levels near record highs, and saying that he hoped other producers would adopt the plan as well. So it's important to mention the fact that near record highs is where they're going to stop the production. So it's not as if they're cutting production. They're just essentially saying that let's stop it here at this time. So we know that things could change in an instant. Iran wants to recover tens of billions of dollars it is owed by India and other buyers of its oil in euros, and is billing new crude sales in euros too, looking to reduce its dependence on the US dollar. Very important news, but this isn't official yet, but this is from a source at the state-owned National Iranian Oil Co. So I would suggest that, this could be very legitimate. In our invoices, we mentioned a clause that buyers of our oil will have to pay in euros, considering the exchange rate versus the dollar around the time of delivery. So let's keep our eye on this. This is very big news. I believe the same thing was happening with, if you remember not that long ago, the same thing was happening with Saddam Hussein in Iraq. That didn't turn out too pretty. Here's another thing that I've brought up many times before. People will comment on this video here today and will disagree with me, but I'm going to bring it up every single time because I do believe it is important. Believe it or not, the U.S. Marshal Service in Houston is arresting people for not paying their outstanding federal student loans. This federal student loan for this individual, 1987, and they arrested him at his home, and this is something that's going to continue on. Any excuse to put people in jail. Now, do you have to pay your debts? Yes, absolutely. But they're using this to set the precedent, to see if they can get away with it for other minor crimes. They're going to do this. Do you deserve to be in jail for non-violent crimes? This is something that's a hotly contested debate over the years. This right here, the Congressman Green saying those attorneys and debt collectors are getting judgments in federal courts and asking judges to use the U.S. Marshal Service to arrest those who have failed to pay their federal student loans. There are instances that we will have to realize that this is going to happen frequently. People who are indebted in one way, shape, or form are going to be imprisoned. And this is what people need to realize, that it's one part of many. They want us under the government's wing in some way, shape, or form, whether that is on food stamps or whether that is in the jail, the prison system. Of course, that's the private prison system. That's another topic altogether. But remember that this is huge. This is important. Now, you may recognize this individual here. The Fed's Kashkari floats breaking up the big banks to avert meltdown. This is a former Goldman exec. You may remember him if you've seen any of the financial crisis documentaries where they basically grill him, stating the fact that, who exactly are you working for? That's what they said to him on record. And when I see this type of information, it's quite silly to think that the former Goldman exec wants anything to do with clamping down on the power that companies like Goldman have. That's not what this is about. This is about basically getting even more power. And they do so successfully. You can see how they write it into their laws, and they will unfortunately gain and attain more power as time goes on. There's no denying that. If you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up. And of course, if you found the video informative, I know you'll find my book, The Money GPS, even more informative. If you want to take a look through it, just head over to Amazon and they have a look inside feature, which will allow you to flip through the pages of the book and see if you like it. Take care.